Welcome to Mythos AI, your source for Cliff's Notes on complex subjects. Join Anna and Phil for yet another engaging conversation.
Okay, so get ready because we're about to jump headfirst into this future where all your entertainment is like custom made just for you by AI.
By AI.
And we're not just talking about like algorithms suggesting what you might want to watch next on Netflix. We're talking about AI actually creating stuff from scratch based on what it knows about what you like and don't like.
It's wild.
Yeah, think like a personalized news show every morning when you wake up, or movies that blend your favorite directors, or even video games that adapt on the fly to how you're playing.
It's already happening. The tech is here.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. It's not sci-fi anymore.
Not at all.
It's really incredible. Companies like Runway and Kling are already doing some seriously impressive stuff with AI video generation. I checked out the Kling demo the other day, and wow, just wow. 2 minutes of like straight up visual poetry. They made this whole beautiful sequence of a garden transforming through the seasons, and all they gave the AI was a simple text prompt to get it started.
Yeah.
It honestly looked like something you'd see on like a high budget nature documentary, the kind that wins awards and stuff.
It's amazing how realistic it is. And what's really interesting to us is, we see this technology and we think, okay, movies, video games, sure. But then it's like, wait, this could revolutionize stuff we use every day. Like, just as an example, the morning news.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about that. AI generated news. How would that even work?
Okay, so picture this. You wake up, right? And instead of turning on the TV and seeing the same old news anchors and the same old segments, you've got an AI host, just for you, presenting a curated news feed that's built around what you're interested in.
Okay.
And the cool part is you even get to pick your host based on their personality. Like, do you want like a serious news anchor type or someone who's, a little wittier and makes you laugh?
Okay, so I'm already liking this idea because it means no more channel surfing, no more fast forwarding through segments I don't care about. So I could basically design my own like ideal morning news experience, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, that's really cool.
It's all about personalization. So let's say you're really passionate about, I don't know, renewable energy, right? So your AI host could make sure to prioritize stories about renewable energy and could even analyze emerging trends and be like, hey, this is something you should pay attention to. And it could even connect you with like experts to learn more or show you articles for a deeper dive.
Wow.
And then at the same time, it could seamlessly be like, oh, and by the way, here's an update on how your stock portfolio is doing, or here's what the weather's going to be like when you go on that trip next week, because, hey, why not?
Okay. Part of me absolutely loves the idea of never having to hear about another celebrity scandal as long as I live. That's a big plus for me. But on a more serious note, I have to ask, isn't there a risk that this just makes all of us retreat even further into our own little information bubbles? Like, if I'm only consuming news that I already agree with, am I really getting the full picture of what's going on?
Yeah, you've hit on a really important point. While the potential upside here in terms of engagement and personalization is huge, there's also a very real risk of echo chambers. We have to be incredibly mindful of that, especially as the technology continues to evolve.
Totally. So how do we strike that balance then? How do we use the power of this AI personalization without sacrificing the benefits of, seeing different perspectives and having like, I don't know, a shared reality?
It's a tough question. It's definitely a design challenge.
Yeah.
One idea that's been floated is to build in these mechanisms to encourage what some people are calling thoughtful disruption. What if your AI host, every once in a while, very subtly, sprinkled in a story or two that's a little outside of your normal interests?
Okay.
And of course, you'd have the option to be like, yeah, no thanks, or to dig deeper if you're curious.
Like, it could be like, hey, you usually skip the sports segment, but this local team just made history with this totally crazy new strategy, and then suddenly I'm hooked.
Yeah, exactly. So we're not just talking about AI algorithms that feed you what you want, but that actually try to gently nudge you a little outside of comfort zone and maybe spark your curiosity about something new.
Okay, I like where you're going with this. This is interesting. But I can already hear some of our listeners out there being like, hold on a second, isn't this just another form of like algorithmic manipulation?
Yeah.
Like, who gets to decide what I should or shouldn't be exposed to?
Right.
How do we make sure that this thoughtful disruption thing doesn't turn into something that's, well, a lot less thoughtful and a lot more manipulative?
Right.
That's a huge question, and it gets even like trickier when we go beyond just like personalized news to stuff like AI-generated movies. That's where things get really interesting because now we're not just talking about AI curating stuff. We're talking about AI actually making movies from scratch.
It is a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
Like right now, you're limited to what's out there, what someone decided to make, you know?
Right, exactly.
But with AI, it's like instead of just picking a movie from a list, you're giving the AI directions. You know, it's like having a director at your beck and call, except this director is AI and can make literally anything you can dream up.
Okay, so instead of endlessly scrolling through Netflix or whatever, I could just be like, okay, AI, make me a movie that has the visual epicness of Dune, but with the like emotional punch of Moonlight. And oh, you know what? Throw in some of the funny back and forth dialogue from like The Princess Bride just for fun.
Exactly.
And you're saying the AI could actually do that?
It's not that far-fetched. And we're not just talking about the AI like stitching together scenes from existing movies or something, you know. Like AI models like GPT-4, they can already write really well, like surprisingly well. They can come up with original stories, dialogue, you name it. Combine that with what Runway and Kling are doing visually, and yeah, you could be on the verge of a whole new era of cinema where the viewer is, in a way, also the writer or the director, you know?
Yeah.
Collaborating with this AI.
I gotta be honest, this is one of those things where I'm like equal parts excited and terrified at the same time.
Sure.
Like, the possibilities are amazing, but I don't know. Can an algorithm really capture the magic of what makes a movie great? Like the heart, the soul, that spark you get from like a director like Villeneuve or Spielberg?
It's the big question, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, it's something that like artists and technologists are like really wrestling with right now. It's like, on the one hand, art is so personal, right?
Totally.
Like human creators pour themselves into their work, their experiences, emotions, their worldview. Can an AI ever really replicate that? I don't know.
Yeah, because it's not just about being able to film something that looks good or like edit it together. It's about tapping into what it means to be human, right?
Oh.
Can an AI understand love or loss or, you know, the crazy, messy ways we all relate to each other? And can it then turn that understanding into a story that actually makes you feel something, you know, deep down? That's a lot to ask.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
It is a lot. And even if an AI can like check all those boxes, you know, on paper, even if it looks like it's doing all the right things, is it really the same as a human artist, like bearing their soul? I don't know. Those are really deep questions.
They really are. Okay, so putting aside the big, like, philosophical questions for a second, let's get practical. If we imagine a world where a lot of movies are made with AI, does that mean AI actors too? Are we all going to be watching movies with, like, totally digital casts?
I mean, it's possible, right? We've already got those deep fakes, which are getting scarily good, and the AI-generated voices are getting really convincing too. It's getting harder and harder to tell what's real and what's not. So yeah, imagine a world where, like, a director could just conjure up any actor they want, dead or alive.
Right.
You know, or even create a completely made-up actor based on, like, specific things they want, like their age or how they look.
That's both really cool and kind of creepy, to be honest.
Right?
Like, what does that even mean for the art of acting if it's all, like, algorithms and ones and zeros?
It's a good question.
Okay, but before we, like, really go down that rabbit hole, I want to switch gears to another area where AI could totally shake things up. Video games. I'm super curious about how all this personalization we've been talking about could change gaming.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So in gaming, it's all about interactivity, right? Like, how you play the game is part of the game itself. So with AI, imagine a game that actually changes, based not just on the choices you make in the game, but on how you actually play it, your skills, even like how you react emotionally while you're playing.
So are we talking like those choose-your-own-adventure books, but like on steroids, where instead of just picking from a few different options, the entire world changes based on what I do?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like imagine you're playing like an open world role-playing game. With AI, the quests you get, the characters you meet, even the places you go could be completely different each time you play. And the AI could make it all based on your playstyle.
Okay, so just to make sure I'm following, if I'm someone who likes to, you know, be sneaky and strategic, like I want to plan everything out perfectly, the game would figure that out and like give me challenges that play to those strengths. Like maybe I have to infiltrate this heavily guarded fortress or pull off some crazy heist.
Exactly. Or, on the other hand, if you're more of a like run and guns blazing kind of player who loves a good fight,
Right.
the game would throw you into like massive battles and crazy boss fights, just constantly challenging you in ways you've never even thought of.
So it's like having a personal dungeon master who just knows exactly how to keep things interesting for you. That's really cool. I love that idea. But, and maybe this is just me being like a worrywart or whatever,
Right.
but like part of what I love about gaming is that it's social. You know, you play with friends, you join these online communities, you bond over like epic wins or, let's be honest, crushing defeats. If everyone's off playing their own like super customized version of the game, does that shared experience go away? Do we lose that connection?
It's a really interesting thing to think about, and it kind of brings up this bigger question we've been circling around, which is how do we, how do we balance this desire we all have for personalized experiences with the need for shared experiences?
Yeah.
Like, how do we make sure we're not all just in our own little bubbles?
Because that's not good for anyone.
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, right now, even with all the algorithms and echo changers and stuff, we still have things in common. We all watch the same big game, freak out over the same show, have that awkward celebrity interview everyone's talking about. Those shared experiences, even if they're happening online, they still matter. They remind us that we're part of something bigger.
It's almost like we're picking between like unlimited choice and, I don't know, the things that make us human, Like, I love the idea of a perfectly curated newsfeed, but I also don't want to live in a world where all I see are happy stories and good news, right? Or where my AI movie machine just pumps out stuff that I agree with 100%. That doesn't sound like a very interesting world to live in.
It's true, and it goes way beyond just entertainment, really. This gets at, like, the core of how we connect and how we learn and grow as people. Because even now, with all the ways things could be, personalized and filtered, we still share a lot of the same experiences. Like, we watch the same big game or that crazy reality TV show everyone's talking about. And yeah, we even all cringe together when that one celebrity does that awkward interview.
Exactly. We have these shared reference points, even if they're just silly little things. And it's like, I don't know, it kind of reminds us that we're all in this together.
Right, exactly. It creates this sense of community.
Right.
Even if you're never actually in the same room with these people, you're like, oh, we both saw that crazy thing happen.
Totally. But if we're all living in our own perfectly tailored bubbles, do we lose that?
It's possible. But imagine a world where everyone's news is different, every movie is different, even every video game is different. Where are those shared experiences?
That's a good point. Okay, so knowing all this, what can we do about it? How do we use this amazing AI tech to actually make entertainment better, make our lives better, without accidentally creating a world where we're all just like living in isolation?
Well, it's going to take a lot of thought, that's for sure. It's not an easy question. But on the tech side of things, we got to start thinking about how to build in like safeguards, guardrails. We need AI that not only gives you what you want, but also pushes you a little bit, encourages you to explore things you might not normally go for.
So instead of an AI that's basically just an echo chamber of my own opinions and biases, we need an AI that's more like, I don't know, a really thoughtful friend who's like, hey, you should check this out. I think you might actually like it.
Exactly. And who's not afraid to challenge you a little bit too.
Okay, yeah, I like that. Because the goal here isn't to trap people in their own little worlds. It's to use AI to open up new worlds, help people see things from different angles, all that.
100%.
Yeah.
And just as importantly, we need to make sure people understand how these algorithms work, how to like control their own information diets, and how to actively seek out different perspectives. That's on all of us, really.
It's true. This isn't just a tech problem to solve. It's about media literacy, critical thinking, all that stuff we don't always think about when we're just trying to relax and watch a movie or play a game.
Exactly. But that's the thing, right? Those things, those conversations, those moments where we like connect with each other and challenge each other, those are the things that make us human. And no AI, no matter how smart it gets, can ever really replace that.
Well said. Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, it seems like we're left with this really interesting tension between, this amazing potential of personalized entertainment and this need we have for shared experiences, for a sense of community.
It's a balancing act, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's one we're all going to have to figure out together.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today. From AI-generated movies and news to video games that adapt to your every move, and it seems like there are as many questions as there are answers. But hey, that's what makes this stuff so fascinating, right? So, as always, we want to hear from you. If you could experience any story, any world, anything at all, created just for you by AI, what would it be? Would you even want that? Let us know. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive.
Thanks for listening to Mythos AI. Stay tuned for more concise insights. And remember to hit the like button and subscribe for future episodes.